Hi, good evening. First additional language and home language. I'm combining my film study week 9 presentation for all my 4 courses. It's 4 courses. It's as I said, it's 9th of June. It's week 9. So there's a bit of symmetry here. Hope you're all doing well. It's been a glorious day in Port Elizabeth or Kabeja. I've got a t-shirt on, although I know in other parts of the country it's been very, very cold and freezing. So I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, looking after yourself, doing all those good social distancing, sanitizing, wearing masks, and maybe getting your vaccinations as well. So let's hope we're all on the go for beating COVID. So I'm going to just share my video with you quickly on my PowerPoint. Let's get it right. And let's get it onto slideshow. There we go. And as I said, it's week 9 and we're looking at film study. Film study is the section for SP, home language and first additional language for your assignment 3. It's the 3rd genre you're going to have to look at. So you can get lots of ideas from tonight's lecture, okay, or learning event. Quick look at the spreadsheet for home language. As you can see that I'm looking at quiz 7, which was submitted on the 6th of June. 59 of the 98 attempted the Little Riding Hood and Goldilocks fun quiz, although some people were a bit upset about it, saying it was going to take them too long. I said 30 minutes at the most, but thank you for those who did it. If you're those of you who created posters and the whole thing, I will see what you've done, but you didn't have to do that. SPs, 101 out of the 151 did it, so quite a few have done it. If you look at assignment 1 and assignment 2, you can see 10 more for FETs submitted. And if I look at SPs, 121, so quite a few more of you have actually submitted. 30 people seem to not have submitted assignment 2. So this is all good news to me. I haven't looked at assignment 8 yet, numbers. I haven't tallied those. That's only due on the 13th of June. So you've still got time to do the poetry and drama online quiz as well. So happy days. I hope you're not stressing too much, both of all my courses. I know you get into a wild time with lots of submissions, lots of demands on you. So just hang in there, take deep breaths, mail me if there's a big issue, and we'll see if we can work through it. For first additional language, for quiz 7, 63 of the 109 FETs did it, and 137 of the 128 still. So quite a few did it, but there's quite a few that of you have not done it, but it's only 1%, so don't stress about it. Great stuff. And then for assignment 1 and 2, 80 more submitted for assignment 2 for FETs. I'm glad about that. And about 12 of you, more of you, submitted for assignment 2. So numbers are going up, and let's see what happens with assignment 3, which is due on the 21st. So well done. And assignment 8 due on the 13th, your drama and your poetry, 5 questions each online. Okay, PowerPoints have been uploaded. So just another little reminder, here's all your online trackings, poetry and drama due on Sunday. The end of this week, or in the 20th of June, your form study, which is beginning tonight. Then just after that, the visual literacy, which is going to happen next week. It's going to be a Zoom presentation during the last part. So you can just squeeze in your visual literacy after next week's lecture. I think it's going to be Thursday night. It's a Zoom presentation. And then you should have had all 3 genres completed. And then you just have to do your final one next week. There's your 2 assignment dates. I'll speak about both of them now a little bit. And there's your one in the calendar. Please, it has to come in there because there's very tight marking deadlines happening. Yes, Unit 3, we come into the end. We've looked at the reading. We've looked at literature in terms of short stories and novels, poetry and drama. We've looked at Chapter 10 for Ferreira, Chapter 12 for poetry, drama, novel, and short story. And tonight we get on to the visual literacy part. How do we teach film study? Okay, next week, cartoons, adverts, pictures, visual effects. But a lot of us say about the technical aspects that we speak about tonight about film study have relevance for pictures, visuals, and so on. And that's all from Ferreira, Chapter 14. Yes, here she is. You can go read up about it there. And we're going to finish off with best language teaching practices. lots of things you have to clear up. I think a lot of you are still stuck on grammar and rules and tests, and we have to get beyond that if we're teaching a language. Right, so just quickly, assignment 3 is going to be due the 21st. You all know that. You're going to have, I'm going to just go right down to that. You have to have 4 genres. You're going to not do a lesson plan. You're going to create an activity, properly headed, with headings, reading text, dates, grades on it, the instruction, which is going to include a reference to prior learning, your actual text that you, or section from a text, or excerpt from a text that you're going to use, your questions all beautifully numbered with mark allocations, and then a separate memorandum, which will follow. Only one document will be uploaded. So please just order it. Your formatting should be quite good. Starting with your reading text, and you can either put your text insert it in the assignment, or you can put it at the end with your questions all beautifully formatted, clear, not looking like a dog's breakfast, beautiful formatted, nice spacing, punctuation correct, so that when someone sees your activity, it looks professional. Okay, that's how the reader's going to see it. So reading, all of you've got to do it, SPs and FETs. Choose your theme and get your reading. Go and check the CAPS document for word limits. Okay. Short story, this is going to be the FETs. Poem is going to be the SPs. Drama is going to be the FETs. And film study now from tonight is going to be for SPs. Okay, so you each got 3. All of you have got 3 that you could have been finished by the end of this week as part of your assignment 3. And then next week, just the visual literacy, the cartoon for FETs, and then the advertisement or the image for SPs. Okay. So your reflection is the final thing. It's a reflection on semester 1, on everything you've done. Remember, for reflection is when you think about and you try and think about what happened and what actually took place. There is a word limit. I'm going to hold you to it. If you go beyond the word limit, I'm not going to mark from then onwards, because I'm under marking constraints, and 2,000 words is 2,000 words. So you can look at the distance learning program. This is all on your assessment guide, which is already uploaded on my welcome section. You can go and read it up there as well if you want more information on the rubric. Is there as well, so go and check what you're going to be tested on. So I'll also put a template for this so you know about word allocations. So look at distance learning, your experiences, what structures are used for ECI, your language teaching and theoretical knowledge that you've gained and how you've developed as a language teacher. Specific language skills you've gained, maybe with speaking and listening, and perspectives you've acquired, that you shouldn't have an isolated tense worksheet. Doesn't really work. It's not a text-based, and it's not CLT, communicative language teaching. Those approaches are so important. Personal achievements, your marks that you've survived maybe, and challenges, maybe getting delayed feedback from your actual assignment 1 because you've battled to market. Recommendations you can make for the course, especially for future PGCE students, and of course references if you're using CAPS document. And it says 1,500 words in length, but I was looking at my assessment guide and I've got 2,000 words there. So we might make it between 1,500 and 2,000 words, the actual word length. If you want to make it less, it's fine. You don't have to go to 2,000. You can make it 1,000 and just say what you need to say in those paragraphs. Okay. John Dewey says, we do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on that experience. So it's not just the experience that teaches us something, but it's what we reflect on. What did we learn? Why did I do it like that? How can I improve it? What will be a better way to analyze this poem? Why did I use this traditional approach? Does it really work? So those are kinds of things we need to reflect on. Makes me think of your assignment 1. It was a reflection on the CAPS document, and what I got thrown was a lot of theory, a lot of CAPS uploading without your own thoughts coming through for many of you. Right, I'm quickly going to buzz through assignment 1 feedback. I don't want to labor this, but I'm going to just say to you I'll upload this PowerPoint. Formatting is so important because it shows how professional you are. Headings, numbering, beautifully, put full stops in at the right places, left justification, all the marks going down in a straight line on the side, no big white space between questions, everything follow on logically. that you're keeping to the number of words, your spacing and your punctuation is correct. It's got to look professional. If it's a messy, chaotic assessment that you've put together, the reader can't make sense of it, and it's very difficult to actually mark something like that. For the language part, yes, it's all very, very important. You see a bit of red coming through. Long paragraphs that you blighted me with, like this. People can't read paragraphs like that. You're not being smart by writing massive long paragraphs. Have different topics, break it up into paragraphs. Even if I look at the 1.2 in your assignment 1, where to answer the different questions, the different CLT practices, you could have separated all those CLT practices into little bullets or separate little paragraphs instead of jumble it all into this one big massive paragraph and leaving it to me to try and plow through it. Obviously, in-text references are vital. Trinity shows me exactly where all the similarities are, the plagiarism is. And then you should have an in-text reference inserted there to show me that you know that that has been lifted. Also, please don't have just whole quotations standing by themselves in a whole paragraph. There's just one quotation. You've got to explain that quotation. You've got to actually introduce it. You can't just have a quotation standing as a sentence. Please check up also on the structuring of reference lists. How do you structure your reference list? How you use alphabetical order? How do you cite in text as well? Those are all professional things. You're all PGCE students. You've done referencing. If you're not sure, go and check the document that's uploaded already on my welcome section on how to reference. Those are all no-nos. Not as language teachers. You're going to be professional language teachers. You should know how to spell learners and not leaners, okay? You should not use pedantic registers like this underlings. I mean, I don't know where some of you got the words from. I don't speak like that. I don't know if you speak like that, but no one writes like that. You obviously downloaded very archaic type language from somewhere, and it doesn't really make sense. I'm sure you don't. If I can't make sense of it, no one else can make sense. It's a joy to read something that I can read the paragraph, it flows, I can understand what you're saying. It's beautiful, it's beautifully typed. It puts me in a good mood. So just remember your effect of what your document looks like does affect your marker. Then content of 1, I'm going to say focusing on the requirements. The template should have been taken cognizance of. Your introductions and conclusions should have followed what was recommended. You don't lift everything from the caps and the sources. Some of you had your technic-colored lighting of different colors from Trinity. Everything was plagiarized, basically, and that is very disconcerting for a marker. Your focus should have been how your language teaching supports those cap sections. So how do you support the requirement to develop local and global knowledge? What do you teach? What are the topics you teach? How do you show that your CAPS purposes, that you're going to develop the literacies for academia and for the workplace, that you're going to teach maybe CVs and cover letters and emails, how to properly structure them. So I wanted to see real life activities in your language classes on how you do that. Also, your in-text referencing, headings are important. Your question numbering. Some of you didn't put any question numbering in 1.2. It makes it very difficult. You're leaving it to me to find out where the next section starts and work out, is it a not CLT question or which one are you talking about? What are CLT practices? A lot of you thought that the teacher spoke very little. No, they didn't. They spoke quite a lot in both those lessons. That was not an authentic text, that tense worksheet that they had to do. It was very isolated grammar exercise, which is not an authentic piece of work. Prior knowledge was no prior knowledge. You can't surmise that the students knew what the verbs were. The teacher must say, remember, we studied the present tense last week and now we're going to look at the past tense, or vice versa. Scaffolding was also very limiting. I want you to go and check again what scaffolding is. Pereira should have been listed in after the case studies. Once you get your assignments back, please go and read the comments on your actual essays, as well as the summative feedback that we give. We spend a lot of time analyzing what you've done. So when you see your mark, first go and read all of those things, and then you can assess whether you deserve that mark or not. Okay. And I'm sure most of you will agree that your marks were very, very good. for what you did. Okay. Quickly, we did this in week 2, a CLT classroom where we use the target language. We set up authentic communication opportunities for the students using speaking, writing, and listening. They practice, they communicate meaning authentically, they do role modeling. They get a chance to speak the language, not the teacher all the time. They work in pairs. The teacher only supports. Teacher's only the facilitator. The learners speak or should speak more than the teacher. Remember, studies have shown the teachers speak 80% and the students only 19%. I think we must change those percentages. And we are going to have a noisy classroom because of that. Okay, so don't be scared of noise. Let them talk, let them discuss. They are using the target language and it's all meaningful talking in those pairs and groups. So important. A lot of you are also quite stuck on individual learning. That is important, but I don't think it was really a problem in lesson 2. I think it was going to develop into something more individual when they spoke, and they had to write that little summary or paragraph about the disruptions in their life. Okay, so for tonight, we're going to look at what TEHFS says about approaches to teaching film study. We're going to differentiate between film and literary texts, where they're the same and where they are different. We're going to look at film terminology. It's all in the TEHFS document as well. It's properly structured. We're going to look at cinematography concepts that we need to know and understand. And then we're going to finally finish off with the Texas film study approach, which even the SPs could possibly consider when they design their film study question for assignment 3. First of all, I just want to speak about the TEHFS document for grades 10 to 12. The TEHFS document says quite a lot about film study, tells you about all the angles, the props, the shots, and so on. However, for SP, it's more for an entertainment value. They are encouraging you to do it. They do give you the information, but it's not formally tested or assessed in the SP area. So you are doing it, but you're doing it for a more intellectual entertainment, fun. Enrichment is the word they use in the TEHFS document for your students. That's a good thing. Okay, semiotics are the signs that you see in a movie scene. So if you've seen a movie scene starting with mismatched shoes on a person and the room is in chaos and there's bedlam all over the place, things haven't been packed away, maybe it looks like your room or my granddaughter's room, which is a total disaster. You might think, well, this person is a bit confused or disorientated or is really not a very organized person following some kind of time management scheme. They are chaotic in their thinking. They are not organized. So those are the kinds of things that you might think if you see that kind of room. Or you might think there was somebody that's broken into the house, or this person's left in a rush. They didn't check what they read because they were tense about something. So what is the director or the producer trying to say through those signs that you see in the movie? They've also got symbols that symbolize things within the movie, and I'm going to look at Frozen and Elsa's gloves. And they are beautiful blue gloves. Why? What did it symbolize? And these gloves symbolized hiding her true identity, because remember, she had the power through her hands to create ice and snowfalls and blizzards. And these gloves were to hide that gift, or I think it's a gift that she had, and her identity as a person. Yeah, you can see as a little girl after that, I think that scene where she hurt her sister or something happened, I can't remember. The father put the gloves on her, showing that she must start the thing to hide who she was. There we see Hans, who had a relationship with Anna, her sister, and you can see he also wears gloves. So he's possibly also hiding something of his true character, which we know. And even the scene where he kisses her, who claims that he loves her, he's still wearing his gloves. So he's still hiding something. And there we can see Elsa looking at a hand with a glove and a hand with no glove. There's two parts of her identity, what she shows and what she doesn't show. So we've got the semiotics, which are the signs and symbols, and you've got the narrative structure. It's very much like a literary novel, short story. It's got the plot structure, it's got the characters, it's got the theme, very much the same as what we've got in the narrative structures. It also has a 3-act structure, similar to the short story. You've got the setup, the orientation, where it starts off. You've got the opening shot, the scene, the point of view scene, everybody's seeing what's actually happening. So the whole setup for what is actually going to happen. Then you've got some kind of confrontation or conflict that happens where everything changes. Maybe somebody just breaks into someone's house. There's been a happy scene and they've got the breaking in, or something terrible happens. And you've got the resolution in Act 3 where everything is worked out and it's a happy ending. They lived happily ever after, we hope. So we can look at the film study versus literary analysis. And first of all, we've got the cultural context. So the film is part of a broader context in terms of culture, place, time, location, and how it is created. So obviously, if it's taking place in a Hindu culture, the whole producer and director have got to set it up in terms of the broader context of what takes place maybe in India with the Hindus, or if it's the Amish religion in the United States, set it up in a typical Amish village, or if it's Mormons in Utah, that kind of mountain area where they live. So it's a different culture that this is actually set up in. Might be European, it might be English, it might be Australian. So all of these cultures have got to be set up by the producer. But then what does the film say about this culture? So there's always a message that's going to be sent about how the way they create it, they've got a message they're trying to point out about what is actually happening in that culture and say a message to the audience. There might be social and political concerns during that time period that the author, the producer wants you to be aware of, and he will show these in the different scenes. What the concerns, it might be poverty, it might be sickness, might be death, might be disaster, it might be intrigue, manipulation, assassinations, all kinds of things that can happen socially and politically. The mise-en-scène is an interesting word. It's all the compositional elements of the film. It's all the audio-visual. And this is one area which is quite different to a narrative study. And so how does the producer arrange the audio-visual and the cinematography, which is distinctly different from literary analysis when you look at shots and angles and plots and edits and so on, which is different to where we would see it if we were studying a narrative like a short story. This is a lovely scene from Titanic, and we've got Jack and Rose, or Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, in a typical scene from the ship. And I think a lot of lovers possibly have enacted this. I think I saw it even on one sort of a movie for a short story some time ago. I saw someone acting out the same scene. And we can see how he's looking at her. We see the light. You can see there's lots of lightness about it. So it's a setting, a scene of love and connection and romance. And he's looking at her, so we've seen it from his point of view as well. And then we've got our characters from Frozen. We've got Elsa and Anna, the two sisters. You've got Olaf, the snowman, Hans and Kristoff as well, all the characters there as well. So if we're still looking at the film versus literary analysis, analysis of film is not too different from that, except we've got to look at the things like lighting, the actors, the angles, and the colors. Whereas this is all absent in literature. The lighting, the angles, and the colors are deliberate choices that the director or the producer make, and the screenwriter as well. Same as the way the author chooses words, they will choose these aspects where this is going to get their message across. Scene, cuts, dates, okay, all those little clips, they put the whole thing together. Furthermore, literature and film also they also have some things that are similar. So they've got the plots, they've got the characters, they've got the dialogue, settings, and symbolisms are exactly the same as they are for literary analysis. So just as you analyze literature elements for the intent and effect, you do the same thing for a film. So why did the producer use this scene? Why did he use this color? Why did he use this shot? Why did he use this angle? All are trying to get a message across to the audience. Here they are, all set for action. You've got the film crew there. You've got the actors. They've got the words, the lines, all ready for action and get the movie started. So the audiovisual cinematography, this is also only in the CAPS document. Whole lot of audiovisual elements that has to be analyzed. And these include things like props and costumes. If it's a certain era, they have to wear the right costumes. the settings and the location of the film, what lighting is going to be used, the camera shots and angles, the different ones that they're going to use, the different frames for the picture, very soft or very harsh frames, special effects like makeup, choreography, as in movement and dance, music that they're going to use, color and their values, light and dark, depth, placement of the characters. So the mise-en-scène is very, very important, okay? Some of the components are common to literary analysis, but the mise-en-scène, the audiovisual, is unique to the form. These things don't happen in the short story, okay? This is about a form, maybe. So they're quite unique to the form. And here's typical makeup with special effects, horror movie. I had a student that once loved doing this, so that was her intrigue. And there's showing disease and sickness, the whole makeup thing, which is so powerful in movies as well. But we gain on to cinematography. So often you have to re-watch the film to looking at certain still images. So the SPs, you can go and look at a film clip or a film image, one frozen image, and you can do analysis of that. It doesn't have to be a whole film that you're doing. It's just one little clip of the film. And you can then look at the colors, the angles, the shots that we use there, where were the actors positioned, what objects or symbols do you see in the frame, and then also the soundtrack. Let It Go from Frozen and Mother Knows Best, okay, from Tangled, particularly good in those contexts of those different scenes, which become quite powerful messages for the people listening to it. This is a whole set of clips or images, frozen scenes that you could analyze. You can take any one of them. You can see the different high angle and low angle shots. The high angle one, the top right, you can see that they're pointing a gun at a woman down there. If you're looking at it from the top down, she shows that she's very vulnerable. She's in danger. They are going to harm her. If you're looking up at something, at a building or someone else, it means that they are being venerated. They put status. They are something you want to aspire to. If you look at the top middle one, also looking down, showing something's going to happen to that car or the people in the car, there's people all around. The close-up, bottom right, you see the detail, the emotion on the person's face, and you can read a lot into that with the color of what's actually going to happen. Often if it's on the same level, it's often a medium shot, the same level means that we're on the same status of that. To show a point of view shot, if you look on the left-hand side, the middle one, if you see the back of people, you often see what the producer wants you to see. So he's showing you what you must look at and what you must take note of. So audiovisual and cinematography continued. Some example of questions you could actually ask if you're wanting to ask questions about the clip that you've got is to say, how is lighting used to construct the mood? Is it bright light or is it dim light? So what does dim light signify? That there's confusion, there's chaos, something's going to change. If it's bright, is it happy? There's safety, people are content, the excitement is in the air. So if you look at this picture of a picket fence, it's actually a low angle, it's looking up, so they're venerating this beautiful fence, picket fence, white picket fence with the beautiful red roses in front. And the mood, I think, is quite happy. Beautiful day, lovely sky, setting up for something quite lovely, I would say. Maybe a garden party or the meeting of lovers or something like that. But the mood can also shift at any point. And how does the director create that mood shift? And that can often be through darkness, blurring out of what's beautiful, changing one scene onto another. What does the setting say about certain characters? If we look at this one, we see these two characters standing apart on this road going to nowhere. It looks like a desert landscape. I don't know if you know Lee Child, who speaks about Reacher. This looks like the kind of confrontation he would have. They are in suits. What are they doing? It looks like there can be a duel there. But it's something that's quite sinister. I think that's what I feel anyway. What props are there? This is just a fence and a road and some, I think it's telephone wires. This is quite an interesting shot of the American flag. And we're looking up at it, and we've got this very small German soldier, I think it is, in the front. What is the intent of showing this? Is it the power of America against Germany? That America will have the status, will win through, will be triumphant. So you'd have to think of what the director is trying to say through a scene like this. And what about songs? We spoke about Let It Go and the Mother Knows Best. The lyrics that The Wedding Singer, all those songs as well, they become Pretty Woman, become known about the film. What do they say and how do they pertain to that time? So general film terminology is, there's 3 words here. We're going to look at the exposition, is the beginning of the film to introduce the information. Here you have the setting, the main characters and the themes and how they all come together. So this is the exposition. Is so important, how it sets the whole movie up to introduce information to the audience. Denouement is the end, how it all wraps up to make a final statement about the characters and the themes. Sometimes at the end of the film, you don't actually know what actually has happened, and you go back home and you try and discuss what actually happened. Turning point is the complication. Remember, in Act 2, often is the confrontation. Is introduced, leading to some kind of complexity in the plot, and the development of a character often through that. They become better or they become worse because of what actually happens in their life. This might be an exposition shot where you see this face close up and you can see some reflections in her glasses. She's trying to show you something that she's seen and it's very important to her, and that's why the glasses are there, and this may be one of the main characters. Oh yes, we have Salzburg here in Austria, and the hills are alive with the sound of music. Julie Andrews, opening shot, setting up the movie for this beautiful countryside. This lovely singer, convent, where she's dressed. So this whole thing with the music actually goes together to part of the exposition of the movie. This might be showing a bit of the denouement with the 2 scene, the split scene. You've got this beautiful water, this bubbling water. It looks like bottom of a cliff or a waterfall, and you've got this person lying on this beach. How do they come together? And it might be the beginning and the end of something that actually happened, and that leaves the intrigue about the movie. We can look at school ties just now again, and there's also maybe establishing shot where they come in and you can see it's called school ties. The window of the car is just up to there, it's focusing on his face, what he's seen, but you actually can see the reflection in the window. So it actually car windows, they actually see what he's actually seen, and the colors are quite dismal, I think, showing this taking place maybe in the early 1940s. Okay, we're going to look at all these different shot types now. So there's quite a lot. They're all tables, so you can go back and study them. I think they're also in caps as well. So I think there's 5 shots we're going to look at. The extreme long shot was establishing shot, the long shot, the medium shot, and we look at the close-up and extreme close-up shots. So the extreme long shot, the established shot, is wide angle, so you can see everything, a lot of the landscape, you understand the setting, sets the scene, gives the context. So often a film will start with these kind of wide angle establishing shots, so you can see the whole setting of where this is taking place. A long shot is a long way from the character, from the whole person, because it shows more than just the person, it shows the background, and you see the person, the character in relation to the place, the setting where they are and what they look like. The medium shot is between the long and close, because it shows people from the waist up, and you can see the emotions, you can see relationships that are there, you can see body language, facial expressions, you can often see the tension, the joy, the shock, the surprise. Okay, this is an establishing shot from Brooklyn Beach, looking at Manhattan Island, New York. One day I'll have to get there again. And it's coming in, looking down at Manhattan Island, giving a lot of power to Brooklyn as the bridge comes in to link this area with the Manhattan Island of New York. Different areas, different things, but a lovely shot. Here's a medium shot of a character. You can see the emotion, you can see no smiling, very somber face, the dark colors in the background, the very severe haircut, or giving a message maybe of unhappiness and sadness or sorrow within this person. Here's another long shot, because you can see the whole body and a bit of the background. We're on the same level as the character, and it's setting her up in this environment of trees and road. Maybe she's a model, we don't know. So yeah, you can have a type of exercise where you can have different shot types. And if you just seen from the waist up, you'd know it's a medium shot. If it's just focusing on the eyes, you might say it's a close-up shot. If it's showing the beginning, it might be establishing shot. If it's showing emotions, it might be a close-up. I saw relationship shots there. It's also often a close-up. Will also show you relationship type shots. Okay, then there's your close-up and your extreme close-up. Your close-up, you're going to see basically the head up to the shoulders, this part, maybe what you see in me, I think. With extreme close-up, you see an eye or ear or a nose or something like that, an insect, and ear. Very focused on that aspect. So the close-up will show a bit of background, which you can see in the back of my room, and it focuses on the person's expressions, whereas the extreme close-up is only going to focus on a single aspect, a fine detail, expression of surprise or shock or happiness or sorrow that you'll see in the person. So here we have a close-up. You can see a bit of the background. You can see it looks like he's at a door or something, but he's not too sure of himself. He's looking back. His mouth doesn't look a bit tense, so it shows maybe something is going to happen in this picture. Here we see her close-up. We're right again, so we see a bit of the trees in the background. She looks happy, I think, so she's quite contented. Then we see her very close-up. That is your extreme close-up. Maybe if she had a picture, so a reflection in her eyes of something, we might have been able to determine what she possibly was seeing. So again, shot types. If you look at body language, what kind of shot type will show us body language? Okay, close-up, medium. What about relationships? What kind of shot would that be? So those are the way we can actually determine. So we can look at different kinds of angles now, different types of shots we've looked at, different angles. We've got the point of view shot. The director may need you to identify the character, so it shows you a point of view shot. It's often shot from the back, so you can see what the point of view of the character is, what the character is seeing. High angle is from above, decreases the size and shows vulnerability and lack of power. Sorry, high angle is showing the person going. I'm getting confused now. Sorry, I'll start again. High angle, the camera's up there, looking down on the characters, and they are shown as vulnerable, lacking in power, and they need to be afraid because something's going to happen. You can see those Duggar movies where they come into the shower and stab someone. They're often taken at a high angle. Camera's looking down at the character, showing that the character is in danger. Low angle from here. Okay, I've got it right, I hope. Increases the size and indicates power in this person. The camera's looking up at the character, elevating them and their status. So if you're looking up at that person, you're venerating them. You've got the bird's eye, which is extreme high angle, and you've got the worm's view, extreme low angle. So these show extreme effects. Okay, the camera's directly above, far above, and was right below. So you get this extreme danger or extreme veneration. This is the establishing shot. Remember, from the back of the character, you've seen what they are seeing. This must be a Western movie of some sort. Looks like a bit of like Peru landscape, desert with a butte in the background. There's a bit of a mesa there, and she's looking out for something. So this is her world, her setting, and it looks like a bit of a ranch house she's got there, and you're wondering what she's looking at. This is extreme bird's view, I think, looking down at these characters on this cracked ice, and you're wondering what's actually going to happen to them. She looks quite happy there. I think he may look a bit okay as well, so they're not too scared of that ice breaking. This is looking slightly up at her, putting her, venerating her status. She's somebody to be admired, but if you're looking down at her, often it means she's in danger, something's going to happen, and that's why they've used this shot. So again, all the words, if it's up, it's your low angle, there's danger. If it's down, it's looking at somebody. No, if it's down, it's danger. If it's up, that means they are venerated. Let's get this right. If it's above them, right, it's showing danger. If it's below them, it's venerating them. Powerlessness is when it's a low shot, they're powerful. It's powerful. It's going to be an up shot, so low angle. And if they are very, very powerless, it's looking down at them. All right. Okay, now how the camera must move as well. So the different effects of the camera. You've got the tilt, you've got the tracking shot, the zoom in or out, and the pan shot. So if it's a tilt shot, the camera's moving up and down like this, up and then down. If it's a tracking shot, the camera moves with the character. If it's zoom in and zoom out, the camera moves to the character and then away from the character, zooms in and out. And the pan, it moves from left to right like this. Okay, if you have a look at this one here, I'm just going to move her. She's moving away, right? So we're not sure if it's tracking or if the camera's actually panning and moving her in and out. Okay, to the left and to the right. So we've got the camera moves away from the character, so where it moves in and out. It moves towards the character. Why does it do that? Showing it zooming in. What about if it follows? That's a tracking of the character. What about if it's vertically looking down at the character? All right, showing danger. Horizontally, straight on means at the same level, equal, quality with the character. But here's a few more of these little movements. In this one at the bottom left, you can see it's the camera's moving up, and then it's going to follow the coastline on this cliff face all the way to that area. So it's establishing shot, showing you the world, the lovely countryside. In this one here at the top, you've got him walking, a type of the camera's moving with him, maybe some kind of security personnel checking up on things in a building. But yeah, you can see the camera's walking with him. And the one here at the bottom right, the camera's panning to the one side, taking you across this roof, I think it is, all the way to the right, moving, also establishing some kind of perspective on this kind of area. And then you can see the trees in the distance. Okay, all have got a reason in the movie. Okay, I'll get beyond that one. Right, now we're going to look at editing of the film, how we cut and put it together. First of all, you've got the cut, where one shot replaces another like that, and there's no connection with the scenes. They're at a party, the next thing they're driving to work, so there's no connection between the two scenes. But you've also got the fade in and the fade out and the dissolve. So the image fades to blackness or the screen whites out, or one scene blends into another. This often suggests a passage of time, close relationships between the scenes, and flashbacks like dreams and thoughts when they've got this dissolving type of thing. So it might look something like this is fading into darkness, like a dream, or bringing into light. So it could be a dream sequence or a flashback that's happening. Here we have two scenes on top of each other. The one dissolves into the other. You've got a man holding his son, and you can see a cart in the other, and eventually the two will blend into one scene. So they merge like that. Here we can see again, blending again, just one scene is dissolving into another. It looks like some kind of spaceship flying in outer space, I think. And here you can see the characters on the right, it's blending into maybe from the past into the present. So this is where they came from, and now this is the reality. Okay, so again, for editing, you've got when it fades to black, it might be a nightmare. When you want to see the passing of time, you might see this dissolve in and out. When you see a flashback, you could see the dissolving, but you also could see it fading out to whiteness, what actually happened in the past. A dream sequence is also this fading in and fading out. Okay, now we jump into focus again. So not only does the editor, not only does the producer have to edit, he's also got to use different focuses on his camera. So we've got our soft, slightly blurred, romantic type, surreal, genteel atmospheres where you can't see much focus with them. We've got there's another surreal one. We've got the candles there beautifully out of focus. And we've got something that's very sharp, which shows reality. Now you can see this leopard and the beautiful sharpness of the eyes very close up. Here's another with the eyes as well, showing reality. This is what's actually happening. These are things you need to worry about. Differentiate combines blurriness and sharp clarity as well. So if you look at this picture of the bird, you'll see the bird very sharp, and you'll see the vegetation at the back fading out to the blur. So this is your differentiated, combining the two as well. And here's another one, all right, with your squirrel that you want to actually see the squirrel with a bit of leaf and the tree trunk, and you see the blurriness, because what's at the back is not very important. The producer wants you to focus on the squirrel. What you can't see behind there is the frozen type of picture, where you'll see that they capture this one picture of this glass flying up, and you don't know the reason why the directors or the producers use this. Maybe it's to show celebration and throwing up their martini or something that they're doing, or something like this, where this little boy is jumping on the bed and they've captured him in that stance. Why was that happening? Was it a dream sequence? Was he going to leap into another life? Was this him as a child? You don't know exactly why that actually happened. And so finally, we get onto the TEHFS approach if we are studying when analyzing a film. The TEHFS approach starts with the T. It's an acronym. It's the topic. It's the name of the film. So it would be like School Ties. It's the name of the film and the first shot you're going to look at, which is a point of view, a wide or a long shot. So if you're going to discuss the T part, the topic here, you will say what the film was, what is the first shot of the film, what point of view was it showing, and was it a wide, and what type of shot was it? The E part is the explanation of why was that shot used, why did they use a wide shot, why did they use a long shot, why did they use a point of view shot? And then you have to say, was it showing the setting, it's showing the location of the film. X, yeah, you don't spell example like that, but it does go with Texas, is what film technique was used. All right, was it a mise en scène using music a lot, or was it using wide angle shots on the close-ups? Okay, what is the angle that was used? What color was used? What noises were used? What was seen and heard? So just an example of a film technique that was used in the film as well, or in that actual cut. Then A, the film TEHFS, the example is now explained. Why was this used? Why was this film technique used? Why did they use this blurring out of different scenes all the time? Was it to show a poor working class in terms of the blurriness of the image and the darkness of the time? What was he trying to depict using that kind of technique? And lastly is the example is explained and how it shows the main idea. So what is this kind of technique of blurring out and blurring in, showing something about this working class or war, whatever it is going to be? And how's it going to show the main idea of sadness and joy or terror, whatever it is supposed to be showing? Okay. And here's a few establishing shots. This is from School Ties. You can see me looking down at them. They're looking up at the headmaster. So they're putting him on a pedestal, elevation status, and they're all looking to the side, these schoolboys. Yeah, we've got another wide angle and it's point of view shot as well, because we can see a character here on the right-hand side looking, and what is he seeing? So it's a point of view shot here as well. What is happening during this film, School Ties? Yeah, we've got a establishing shot too of a war film. Yeah, someone running away. I think he's got a gun in his hand, but we can see different kinds of soldiers running in the background. We see a bomb going off. Why is he running away? Is it establishing who the main character is? What actually happens? All right, to him. Maybe it's all about this person. Again, when we saw the lady looking out at the buttes in that like rooftop landscape, that might have been the establishing shot, the point of view shot at the beginning of the film. Yeah, she's looking out, maybe for that person, or maybe that person has come, but she's looking out the window again. So you can see the similarity. And there you see him walking off into the distance, out of her life. Maybe we don't know how this ends, but it's pretty sad. And here's another type of way it can actually blend with this young boy looking up, thinking about his life as a young child. And we see the end shot coming in with him sitting there with this person. It might be a girl, it might be his girlfriend, might be his sister. And yeah, he's sitting there with her with this background. What has actually happened in his life to get him to this point? Okay, so that brings me to the end of this production. There's a lovely collage of mise en scène with all the things that are important in it: the visual, director, the setting, the acting, the space, the background, the set, the props, the costumes. I think some of you might have more knowledge about filmmaking and film studies, so forgive my ups and downs and highs and lows, mix-ups. I do like film study and I love movies, so I am intrigued by props and signs and symbols and all the things that happen in it. So enjoy. SPs, creating your film study with your theme. You just need to use one visual clip from it and describe the angles, describe the message that was coming through. Look at the Texas approach as well. See if that can work for you, what you're going to do. So I'm going to say good night now. It's dark outside, although it's only, I think it's just after 6. Winter's definitely on its way. So have a good evening and hang in there. I'll chat to you next week on Zoom. Bye for now.